Good afternoon. I'm Charles Lejano. This is One News Now. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque announced the list of areas under GCQ from today to June 15, as prescribed by the IATF. In Luzon, areas under GCQ include Pangasinan, Cagayan Valley, Central Luzon, Calabarzon, and the National Capital Region, including Pateros. In Visayas, the lone region under GCQ is Region 7, or Central Visayas. And in Mindanao, only 2 cities are under GCQ, and these are Zamboanga and Davao City. The rest of the country, meanwhile, is placed under modified general community quarantine until June 15. And for a lot of employees, getting to work today was quite the challenge, as there was a mad dash to board the few buses plying the roads. Others were left with no choice but to walk to their destination. Marlene Alcaide tells us more.
Thousands of passengers endured the heat, long queues, and limited transportation options as Metro Manila transitioned to general community quarantine today. Commuters along EDSA Monumento forgot all about social distancing as they raced for a ride in an MMDA shuttle bus. Michelle said she has no other choice but to brave the crowd.
Sana naman po, kung magpapapasok kayo, sana may sasakyan para hindi kami ganito nakakagulo. Kasi kawawa kami, mga frontliner hindi nakakapasok. Kagaya niya, may mga dumadambas, hindi naman kami pinasasakay.
In Tala, Caloocan, Mang Jun left his home at 3 in the morning, hoping to get a ride before the streets get too congested. But after 2 hours, he still couldn't get one, so he planned on walking all the way to his workplace in Green Hills.
Matagal no?
Ilang oras na?
Kanina pa po ako alas 3.
Alas 3?
Opo.
Ngayon, so ilang oras na? Almost 2 hours na.
Opo.
Yan pa paano yan? Pang hindi ka nakasakay.
Baka maglakad na lang. Makapasok lang. Sinasabi nga sa amin, magano kami ng Grab. Magkano lang sweldo ko, yung Grab, mahal. Napakahirap po.
In a bid to avoid the hassle, Jet bought a folding bike so she could pedal to work or ride a shuttle bus whenever one is available.
Kasi sabi po mayroon daw kaming shuttle para nasasakay ko din siya. Wala kasing transpo or mga bawal mag-angkas, diba?
In Manila, more passengers were seen riding a motorcycle or taking a bike to work, but some still walked to their destination. LRT passengers, meanwhile, were greeted with long lines at the LRT station in Tayuman. Bernadette says the first day of GCQ took up a lot of her time and money. She says she used to travel 1.5 hours from Tondo to Muntinlupa via jeep, LRT, and a bus for 150 pesos back and forth. But today, she already spent 100 pesos just for a tricycle ride from her home to the LRT station. She then lined up for an hour without certainty as to how she can reach her office in Muntinlupa without city buses plying her route.
Ang aga ko na gumising, ganun pa rin. Dating ko ng EDSA, di ko pa alam kung may masasakyan akong bus. Suntok sa buwan kung may kung wala, pipilitan akong umuwi.
Some motorists meanwhile offered free rides to commuters.
Maraming hindi makakasakay dahil walang public transport eh. Kaya ito lang sinakay ko, 3 lang. Tig-iisa lang bawat row. Itong unang araw na ito, pasukan na ng maraming trabaho kaso walang public transport. So para makatulong, sinakay ko yung iba.
Nagpapasalamat po ako sa kanya dahil mabait po siya at saka maunawain po siya sa mga katulad kong commuters.
Transport Group Piston once again called on the government to allow traditional jeepneys to ply the streets. The group pointed out that drivers and operators had already been deprived of their source of livelihood for more than 2 months. They lamented that most of the country's labor force has returned to work without sufficient options for commuting. For News 5, Marlene Alcaide, we are One News.
Malacañang downplayed the statement of UN Special Rapporteur Agnes Callamard on the law enforcement measures in the Philippines during the pandemic that are said to be contrary to international law. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque said Callamard is not an expert on extralegal killings. Roque added that the UN expert only specializes on freedom of expression. Palace officials said that the UN should have been represented by a real expert on extralegal killings like Philip Alston. Meanwhile, the Interior Department also noted that unlike other countries such as the US, the Philippines is actually doing well in terms of peace and order, as many Filipinos are obedient.
It would have been better if the UN appointed an actual expert on extralegal killings, no, of the same caliber as Philip Alston. No? I wish Agnes good luck. I wish she could get tenure in her university so that she can actually be recognized as an expert. Now, I'd like to restate the rule in international law. The use of force is not prohibited by the state, provided it is necessary and it is proportional.
President Duterte will preside the upcoming IATF meeting on Thursday in Davao City. The chief executive returned to Mindanao over the weekend for the second time during the ongoing quarantine. Palace spokesperson Harry Roque said a few members of the president's cabinet will fly to Davao for Thursday's meeting. Duterte is also expected to address the nation from his hometown. Roque also clarified that the president flew to Davao not just to be with his family, but also for official business. Just like Metro Manila, Davao City is currently under GCQ.
Pero ngayong siya po ay nasa Mindanao, hindi lang naman po siya nag-reunion, tinitignan din po niya kung anong nangyari dyan sa Mindanao. At in fact, magkakaroon siya ng mga official functions sa Davao. Kasama na po ang pag-uulat sa bayan at ang pagmi-meeting niya sa ilang mga miyembro ng IATF. Magaganap po yan sa Davao.
And media giant ABS-CBN responds to the Office of the Solicitor General's accusations that the network has been deceiving Filipinos. During the congressional inquiry earlier today, SolGen told lawmakers that ABS-CBN is motivated not by service, but by greed and a desire for power and influence. Calida added that the Lopez-led firm has committed too many violations that went unnoticed and unpunished. In defense, Kapamilya President and CEO Carlo Katigbak said many voices will attest to ABS-CBN's public service efforts. Katigbak also debunked allegations concerning the citizenship of its chairman emeritus, Eugenio Lopez III, and the supposed unlawful return of the company to the Lopezes, among others. According to Katigbak, the Lopez family rightfully reclaimed the company back in 1986. He also clarified that ABS-CBN chairman Gabby Lopez is a Filipino citizen, having been born to Filipino parents. We're going to pause now for a quick break, but when we return, protesters and police clash right in front of the White House on Sunday evening, as demonstrations have sprung up across the U.S. over the death of George Floyd in police custody. Keep it here on One News. Good afternoon, I'm Charles Lejano and you're still watching One News Now. COVID-19 cases in the Philippines continue to climb. As of today, the Health Department tallied 552 more coronavirus infections. 100 of these are fresh cases, while at least 400 were reported late. So far, there are at least 18,600 COVID-19 cases in the country. 3 people died over the past 24 hours, which raises the country's death count to 960. 70 people recovered from the disease overnight, and currently over almost 4,000 patients have survived the SARS-like disease. In today's briefing, the Health Department emphasized the need to separate fresh cases from late cases. To tell us more about this, we have with us Jen Callamard. Jen, public epidemiologist Dr. Troy Gepte explained this need to distinguish between fresh and late cases in the reporting of the new COVID-19 data. What exactly did he say was the reason behind this?
Yes, Charles, the Department of Health divided a number of cases. One is fresh cases or cases validated by the Epidemiology Bureau in the past 3 days, while late cases are cases which were validated in more than 4 days. This comes from the data reconciliation of the Epidemiology Bureau and the daily reports that were submitted late. The DOH explains that they divided the cases into late and fresh cases so that everybody will understand where these numbers are coming from, and also to avoid confusion why the number of cases suddenly rose. Charles?
All right, Jen, could you tell us how many beds, ventilators, and certified labs are now in use or are available?
Charles, as of today, we have 13,565 total bed capacity in the whole country and over 1,000 available ventilators. We also have 37 certified laboratories in the country which are conducting RT-PCR testing with several laboratories in stage 3 and up. We also have 11 licensed gene expert labs in the whole country. Charles?
Right, Jen, how does the health department now plan to address this so-called backlog in the validation of test results?
Well, Charles, the Department of Health explained that they received information from multiple sources and that the Epidemiology Bureau consolidate it to provide more accurate numbers. So it took them quite a while to provide exact number of cases, and the department is appealing for understanding, for they cannot provide exact numbers of cases on a daily basis due to several considerations. Even the certified laboratories are also dealing with everyday number of cases and backlogs. That's why the DOH is reminding the certified laboratories to speed up their reporting so the department can consolidate it and verify it immediately. Charles?
Right, Jen, the DOH also said that there's no need to panic, even though the total number of cases is increasing. Why is this exactly?
Well, Charles, even if it seems that the number of cases is rising, the DOH explains that this does not mean that the pandemic in the Philippines is worsening, because based on their data, the fatality rate is decreasing and there's an improvement in terms of doubling of cases, which reaches to almost a week now. Charles?
Right, Jen, DOH Undersecretary Vergere also released some reminders now that Metro Manila is under GCQ. Could you tell us about this?
Yes, Charles, since today is the start of the general community quarantine scheme in National Capital Region, the DOH reiterated that everybody should not be complacent and that we should still observe a minimum health standard. The department advises everyone to still wear their face masks, maintain physical distancing, frequent hand washing, and follow CAF etiquette. Charles?
Right, thanks for that. So again, that was Jen Callamard. Tacloban City Mayor Alfred Romualdez says some areas, especially highly urbanized cities, should be given leeway in enforcing COVID-19 measures. Speaking to Cito Beltran on One News's agenda, Romualdez said not all policies for Metro Manila should be applied across the country. He explained that protocols should be tailored to the region's geographical location, condition, and capabilities.
Other regions should be given some leeway, especially with highly urbanized cities, that they can have some leeway in order to attack this. So we have to come up with policies that are local, that really can, control these disasters.
Protesters clashed with police just outside the White House in Washington, D.C., the United States on Sunday night. During the day, thousands of people gathered in the capital to protest the killing of George Floyd in Minneapolis last week. An hour before the 11 p.m. curfew took effect, police fired tear gas and stun grenades into the crowd at Lafayette Park, just outside the president's official residence. Protesters piled up road signs and plastic barriers and started a fire in the middle of the street. Demonstrations have sprung up across the U.S. as citizens vent their anger against police brutality. Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin has been charged with third-degree murder and manslaughter. In a video, he was seen with his knee pressed against Floyd's neck, who was handcuffed and unarmed for more than 8 minutes. All right, let's take a look at the global situation of the COVID-19 pandemic again via this interactive map from Johns Hopkins University. And as you can see on our dashboard, the total number of cases, confirmed cases rather, in the world has spiked to nearly 6.2 million as of today at 6,181,781. The U.S. still has the highest number of confirmed cases with nearly 1.8 million. That's 1,790,191 on the map here. And this accounts for almost 30% of the total global tally. And this comes as mass demonstrations continue across the U.S., again sparked by the death of George Floyd at the hands of the police. The U.S. has 3 times the number of cases as Brazil, which has come in number 2 here with 514,849. And meanwhile, Russia, the United Kingdom, Spain, and Italy round out the top of our list, each with about 250,000 cases each. Moving on over now to the global death toll, over 372,303 deaths recorded all around the world, with the U.S. recording more than 100,000 fatalities. As you can see here, 104,383. Not surprisingly, the United Kingdom, Italy, Brazil, and France, and Spain also lead this tally, with the UK experiencing over 38,000 deaths. Italy has 33,415 deaths, and Brazil has 29,314 deaths, while France now has 28,805, while Spain is dealing with 27,127 deaths. Meanwhile, the U.S. accounts for more than 28% of COVID-19 related fatalities around the world. And despite this, Donald Trump looks to be dead set to sever ties with the World Health Organization, citing the organization's inadequate response and its alleged bias in favor of China. For more updates, be sure to follow News 5, The Philippine Star, and Business World Online. I'm Charles Lejano. We are One News.